Hi everyone, it's Luke here from IAM.
And Andy from IAM.
And today on Demystifying Compliance, we are going to talk about school estates 6-7. All of you know that. Andy Ball.
Yeah.
I went to visit a school about a month ago, and just before Easter. And you walk in there and you're speaking to a head, and they're saying, we're absolutely compliant. We're fine. We've got all of our records in place. We've got our certificates in place. We're all ready because we've got our condition survey report. That's our strategy, she said. That's our strategy. So we're all in place. We're all well sorted. When anything breaks, we've got contractors ready as well.
Sounds good.
When anything breaks, that sounds good. And I said, that's great. Yeah, absolutely great. She said, if you gave this a score, what would you give it? And I said, I would probably give this sort of a 6 out of 10. Really? I mean, she had like I said, I would say she had a very sort of sophisticated system in terms of the records that she held.
Yeah.
But where I think the gap is between where the 6 out of 10 is and the 10 out of 10 is the strategy and the planning that comes with that. And I think that's the gap that I think that people don't consider. I think that when you think about things like asset register, how you use that condition data, for example, what the sort of life cycle costing looks like, the life cycle view. Can you use a budgeting forecast at all to basically, you've had some risks, you've had some incidents, etc. Have you got a budget in place that basically can, that you can forecast how you're going to be able to react to problems and issues that might come up? And then you've got this sort of level of kind of governance, like rhythm that goes with it as well. It's where you're just having like, not just sort of good intentions. It's like, what are you comparing? Why do you think, she was almost confused as to why I didn't regard her system so highly, but she had nothing to compare what that 10 out of 10 looked like, if you see what I mean. So I got what she was saying completely, but actually it's that classic case of, I don't think that many schools, I don't think that many schools, they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah. And I think you'll find that 15 years ago, if we'd have met same head teacher, we would have been quite impressed with what she produced.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And I think it's just that schools are just slightly out of sync with how things are going. So in her world, she'd obviously been in teaching profession because she's head teacher, so she's been around for a few years. So in her world, what she produced is more than adequate.
Yeah, absolutely.
And 15 years ago, it would have been. But life moves on and the roles move on. And we're now looking for a lot more than just having sheets of paper to say, I've done the weekly fire alarm check on it.
Well, I don't think they're able to, at the moment, kind of connect the dots and join those sort of future dots. I think they connect the dots in terms of efficiency of the system, an operational system. But the thing that takes them to a 10, I think, is the strategic arm of it. It's saying that compliance is your starting position. You're probably in a case of a sort of a 5 out of 10. Compliance being your starting position is not your finishing line. It's the finishing line is that strategic element that basically says, what can you evidence today, and not just sort of describe what you've got, and what connects your compliance to your condition reports, to your budgeting and to your governance. And that is the bit that needs to get you to the 10.
Yeah.
And that's where I think that the lack of understanding comes from what is a good compliance system versus a bad one. And I think that the problem that schools will have now is that the annual return that comes about in the autumn, that will show up, that will make that gap even more visible. So I don't think I was doing her a disservice by saying what she had that she thought was a 10 out of 10 was actually a 6 out of 10, maybe a 6-7 out of 10. But I don't think that there's a responsible body in the sector that will actually see that as success once this sort of self-assessment return and this annual return comes into play. And I think they just need to take a step back, reassess what it says in the School Estates Management Standards, and think with a bit more clarity around what strategy looks like. Because operational documentation and evidence is great. It's absolutely great. but it's not the finishing line. It's not the ultimate solution.
And I do think a lot of that is just understanding that, because
It is understanding it, yeah.
we've had, I would say, the majority of people that upload their assets onto the system, they get back to us and they say, I've uploaded all my fire extinguishers and all my copper, even put pictures of them on, and that's great. But the important columns that invariably they've missed out is the end of life columns.
Yeah.
So the end of life columns, and because they don't understand or they don't appreciate that the end of life column is going to help them with their budgeting, is going to help them with their maintenance by keeping on top of any replacements that need going. So they're just not there.
It's going to help them. This is what I'm kind of stressing. It's the forward planning.
Yeah.
It's the forward planning. That the life cycle costing is the forward planning needed in the asset register that is so important, because that will then take away the element of firefighting that school and that head teacher will come up against in the fullness of time, because they haven't got that next step.
Yeah.
And that next step is the crucial part that schools need to get their head around if they're going to do really strong annual returns into the MYE, the Manage Your Education Estate. I do think that we also need to change the narrative on this as well, around the condition survey being deemed as a strategy. It's not a strategy. It's a condition survey. It's a snapshot in time. It is not, by any stretch of the imagination, something which has been established to say this is what you've got. These are your issues at the moment. It's what you do with that then, and how you go about treating that going forward is the strategy. You need to understand that more and start plotting the next dots in the line to be able to get you to an efficient estate of your school, to be able to manage your estate effectively, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and again, we covered this topic in another podcast, but I think people's understanding of what it is they've got available to them, and as you quite rightly say, just joining those dots up, that's the bit they're not getting at the moment. So as far as they're concerned, they might be mega efficient because they've completed the asset register, filled every single field in the asset register, 100%, they've got every single asset on there, gleaming, but they're not doing anything with that information that's on the asset register. But that, I'm confident that, because we've been doing this a long time now, so I'm confident that people will get into the groove of that. It's just, there's no guidance, and that's the advantage of what the DfE are doing at the moment.
Absolutely.
It's going to bring them all in line.
And I think so for me, the takeaway here is that maybe the whole sort of like, we're compliant sort of statement is fine, but you have to regard that as your starting position.
Yeah.
What you also need to do is make sure that you bring to the party a strategy, because that is what is going to turn you into a more confident individual when you're actually running your site, because you know what you can see coming around the corner. And I think that's the critical part. And I think that's what this annual return, I think that's the purpose of it, really.
Yeah. And I think it's good. And again, like I say, I think people will learn that quite quickly.
Yeah,
so
agreed.
All good moving forward.
All right, great chat. Thank you very much. And we will move on to the next one, and we will see you all very soon. Take care. Goodbye.
Take care. Bye.